Visual cues, body language, personal spaces. I want to share with you the importance of being aware of nonverbal communication, how visual cues, body language, and personal spaces play a crucial role in how we interact with others in the workplace. This module on visual cues, body language, and personal spaces is designed to help you understand the unspoken elements of communication, which are often as significant as the words we use. By mastering these nonverbal skills, you can improve your ability to connect with colleagues, enhance your professional presence, and navigate social interactions with greater ease. Visual cues. Understanding eye movements. Visual cues are unconscious movements of the eyes that occur when a person is trying to recall or construct images, sounds, or feelings. For example, looking up to the left may indicate that someone is trying to visualize something from memory, while looking down to the right might suggest they are processing feelings or internal dialogue. These cues provide valuable insight into a person's thought process during conversations. Understanding visual cues is critical because they help you gauge whether your message is being processed as intended. By paying attention to these subtle eye movements, you can adjust your communication style to better suit the listener's needs, whether they are visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learners. Ignoring these cues can lead to miscommunication, as you may not realize when someone is struggling to understand or engage with what you're saying. Body language, gestures, and postures. Body language, including gestures and postures, is a powerful form of nonverbal communication that conveys attitudes, emotions, and intentions. For instance, open hand gestures suggest openness and willingness to communicate, while crossed arms can indicate defensiveness or discomfort. Similarly, your posture while sitting or standing can signal confidence, attentiveness, or even resistance. Mastering body language is essential for enhancing your communication skills in the workplace. By becoming more aware of your own body language, as well as interpreting the signals of others, you can create a more positive and engaging interaction. Conversely, ignoring body language can result in mixed signals, where your words say one thing, but your body says another, leading to confusion and potential misunderstandings. Personal spaces, respecting boundaries. Personal space refers to the physical distance we maintain between ourselves and others, which varies depending on the relationship and context. This space is divided into zones: intimate, personal, social, and public. For example, personal space, about 1.5 feet, is typically maintained during conversations with colleagues, while social space, 4 to 12 feet, is reserved for interactions with strangers or less familiar individuals. Respecting personal spaces is crucial for maintaining professionalism and comfort in the workplace. Understanding the appropriate distance to maintain during interactions helps prevent discomfort and ensures that your colleagues feel respected and valued. Violating personal space can be perceived as intrusive or disrespectful, potentially damaging relationships and causing discomfort. Subconscious patterns in nonverbal communication. Subconscious patterns, such as whether a person is more self-focused or others-focused, influence how they use and interpret nonverbal cues. For instance, some individuals may naturally maintain more eye contact, while others may be more expressive with their hands. Recognizing these patterns can help you better understand and adapt to different communication styles. Being aware of these subconscious patterns is important because they can help you tailor your nonverbal communication to better connect with others. By understanding your natural tendencies and those of your colleagues, you can create more harmonious interactions and avoid potential conflicts. Failing to recognize these patterns can lead to misinterpretations, where the intent behind your nonverbal cues is misunderstood. Points to remember about nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is an essential complement to verbal communication, providing additional context and meaning. This section highlights the importance of being consistent with your body language, respecting personal spaces, and being mindful of visual cues during interactions. It also emphasizes the need to adapt your nonverbal communication to different cultural norms, as interpretations of body language and personal space can vary widely across cultures. Understanding the significance of nonverbal communication is crucial for building strong professional relationships and effectively conveying your messages. By integrating these nonverbal cues into your communication style, you can enhance your overall effectiveness and create a more positive work environment. Neglecting nonverbal communication can lead to misunderstandings, missed opportunities for connection, and a less cohesive team dynamic. This module underscores the importance of visual cues, body language, and personal spaces in communication, providing insights into how these nonverbal elements can enhance your interactions in the workplace.
Mastering body language for effective communication. Body language is a fascinating and often overlooked aspect of communication. So much of what we say isn't in our words at all. It's in the way we stand, how we move our hands, where our eyes go, and even the space we keep between ourselves and others. I've seen so many workplace interactions shift just by adjusting body language. And once you become aware of it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. It's one of those things that once you get it, you can't unsee. And trust me, it makes a huge difference in how people perceive you, whether in meetings, interviews, or just everyday conversations. Personal space is one of those things that varies from culture to culture, but in any workplace, it's important to be aware of the signals you're sending. If you stand too close to someone, they might feel uncomfortable. But if you stand too far away, you might come across as distant or disinterested. The sweet spot is usually an arm's length away in a professional setting. If someone takes a step back, it's a clear sign they need more space. So adjusting accordingly can make conversations flow more comfortably. I've also found that being aware of how you enter someone's space, whether it's knocking on an office door or announcing yourself before stepping into a cubicle, shows respect and sets the tone for better communication. Gestures and posture say a lot about confidence and approachability. Crossing your arms might feel comfortable, but it can make you seem closed off, while keeping your hands open and relaxed makes you appear more open and engaged. Handshakes are another big one. A firm, steady handshake, not a bone crusher, not a limp fish, instantly creates a solid first impression. And don't get me started on fidgeting. Tapping your fingers, bouncing your leg, or constantly adjusting your clothes can make you seem nervous or impatient, even if you're just feeling restless. A little self-awareness here goes a long way, and small changes can make you appear more confident and composed. Eye contact is probably one of the most powerful tools in body language. Too little, and you seem unsure or untrustworthy. Too much, and it feels intense or intimidating. Finding a natural rhythm where you make eye contact for a few seconds and then look away briefly helps keep interactions smooth and engaging. And have you ever noticed how people's eyes move when they're thinking? If someone looks up and to the right, they might be making something up, while looking up and to the left usually means they're recalling something. It's not a foolproof trick, but it's a fun one to pay attention to, especially in conversations where honesty is key. At the end of the day, body language is all about awareness of yourself and of others. When you start paying attention to it, you'll notice little things that help you read a room, understand someone's mood, or adjust your own presence to communicate more effectively. The best part, it's not about faking anything. It's about being intentional with how you present yourself so that your confidence, openness, and professionalism come through naturally. And once you get the hang of it, you'll see just how powerful nonverbal communication really is. Understanding personal space. Personal space is one of those things you don't really think about until someone invades it, and suddenly you feel uncomfortable without quite knowing why. I've noticed that people react differently to proximity depending on their personality, background, and even the situation they're in. Some colleagues naturally stand closer when they talk, while others instinctively take a step back. It's not just about physical comfort, it's about feeling respected and at ease in a conversation. The trick is to be aware of the space you and others naturally keep and adjust accordingly. In professional settings, an arm's length is usually a safe distance to maintain when speaking with someone. If you step in too close, people might feel overwhelmed or defensive, even if they don't consciously realize it. On the flip side, standing too far away can make you seem disinterested or detached. If you're ever unsure, just pay attention to subtle cues. If someone leans in, they're comfortable. If they lean away or shift their weight, they might need more space. You might like to try mirroring the other person's body language to create a sense of ease and balance. Different cultures also have different expectations when it comes to personal space. In some places, it's normal to stand very close while talking, while in others, that same proximity would feel intrusive. I've worked with people from all over, and one thing I've learned is that being adaptable makes interactions so much smoother. In open office environments where cubicles and shared spaces are common, personal space isn't just about how close you stand, it's also about respecting boundaries. Knocking before stepping into someone's workspace, not hovering over their shoulder, and avoiding unnecessary physical contact can all help maintain a comfortable atmosphere. You might not always be able to control the space around you. Crowded elevators, packed meeting rooms, or busy hallways force people into close quarters, but being mindful of how personal space affects interactions can make a real difference. When people feel comfortable, they communicate more openly and effectively. If you ever find yourself unsure, just take a step back and observe how others interact. The more you tune into these unspoken rules, the easier it becomes to navigate professional and social spaces with confidence. Types of personal spaces. Personal space isn't just about comfort. It's about the unspoken rules that shape how we interact with others. I've noticed that people instinctively adjust their distance depending on the situation, but not everyone is aware of how much this can impact communication. Whether you're in a meeting, chatting with a colleague, or speaking to a group, the space you maintain plays a huge role in setting the tone. Understanding the different levels of personal space can help you navigate conversations more smoothly and avoid unintentionally making someone feel easy. The closest zone is intimate space, which is about a foot or less from the body. This is reserved for people we trust, close friends, family, or significant others. At work, there's rarely a reason to be this close to someone unless you're in a particularly crowded setting, like a packed elevator. Moving into someone's intimate space without invitation can feel intrusive, so it's best to respect that invisible boundary. If someone takes a step back while talking to you, it's usually a sign they're trying to reestablish that space. Then comes personal space, which is where most workplace interactions happen. This is about an arm's length away, far enough to feel comfortable, but close enough to engage in conversation without shouting. This is where you'd typically stand when chatting with a colleague, having a casual discussion, or interacting at a social event. I've found that this is the ideal distance for maintaining a balance between professionalism and friendliness. If you're unsure, watch how others position themselves and mirror their comfort level. Beyond that, there's social space and public space. These are for more formal or group interactions. Social space is what you'd expect in a team meeting or when talking to someone you don't know well, keeping a few feet between you. Public space is more for presentations or addressing a large group where you naturally stand farther away to engage multiple people at once. Being mindful of these different zones helps you adjust your presence to match the situation. If you ever feel like a conversation isn't flowing smoothly, sometimes just a small shift in distance can make all the difference. Workplace personal space rules. Navigating personal space at work can be tricky because everyone has different comfort levels. Some people are naturally more open and comfortable with close interactions, while others prefer a bit more distance. I've found that when people respect each other's space, conversations flow better and teamwork becomes easier. It's not just about where you stand. It's about being aware of how your presence affects those around you. Small adjustments can make a big difference in making sure colleagues feel respected and comfortable. A good rule of thumb is to keep at least an arm's length between you and a colleague when talking. Standing too close can feel intrusive, while too much distance might make you seem uninterested. If you notice someone leaning away, stepping back, or shifting uncomfortably, it's probably a sign that they need more space. On the other hand, if they lean in or maintain their position, they're likely comfortable with the distance. You might like to observe how people position themselves in different workplace settings, meetings, casual conversations, or even quick desk-side chats, so you can adjust accordingly. Cubicles and shared workspaces come with their own set of unspoken rules. I've seen that simple gestures like knocking before stepping into someone's workspace or announcing yourself instead of just appearing behind them go a long way in maintaining good workplace relationships. It's also important to avoid hovering over someone's screen, touching their desk without permission, or assuming their personal items like chairs or supplies are fair game. Respecting these boundaries makes day-to-day interactions much smoother. Another thing to keep in mind is that personal space isn't just physical. It's also about respecting someone's mental and emotional space. Interrupting someone when they're focused, speaking too loudly in shared areas, or standing too close in long conversations can be just as intrusive as invading their physical space. If you ever find yourself unsure, just pay attention to body language and adjust as needed. Being mindful of workplace personal space helps create an environment where people feel at ease, making collaboration and communication much more natural. Gestures and their meanings. Gestures are one of those things that people often use without thinking, but they can completely change the tone of a conversation. I've seen situations where someone's words said one thing, but their hands, posture, or facial expressions told a completely different story. Being aware of how you use gestures and how others use them can help you communicate more clearly and avoid misunderstandings. It's not about overanalyzing every movement, but rather noticing the little cues that reveal what's really going on beneath the surface. Open gestures like showing your palms while speaking tend to make you appear approachable and honest. On the other hand, pointing a finger or making sharp hand movements can come across as aggressive or confrontational, even if that's not your intention. Crossing your arms might feel comfortable, but it can signal defensiveness or resistance, especially in a discussion. If you want to seem more engaged and receptive, keeping your arms relaxed and your hands open is a great habit to develop. You might like to try mirroring the gestures of the person you're talking to. It's a subtle way to build rapport and make conversations feel more natural. Handshakes are another powerful form of nonverbal communication. A firm, steady handshake usually conveys confidence and professionalism, while a weak or limp handshake can make you seem uncertain or disengaged. Then there are the knuckle crushers, the people who grip way too hard in an attempt to establish dominance. If you ever come across one, a little humor can help diffuse the tension. Something like, "Wow, are we arm wrestling?" can lighten the mood while making your point. The key is to find a balance. Firm but not overpowering, that confident but not forceful. Even small gestures like tapping your fingers, bouncing your leg, or fidgeting with objects can send unintended messages. These often signal impatience, nervousness, or distraction, even if that's not how you're feeling. If you catch yourself doing it, simply shifting your focus to stillness can instantly make you appear more composed and in control. The more you pay attention to your own gestures and those of the people around you, the easier it becomes to read between the lines and adjust your communication for better results. The power of handshakes. A handshake might seem like a small thing, but it carries a lot of weight in first impressions. I've seen people form instant opinions about someone just based on that brief moment of contact. A good handshake can make you appear confident, professional, and approachable, while a bad one, too weak, too strong, too long, can leave the wrong impression. It's one of those subtle but powerful nonverbal cues that can set the tone for an entire conversation, whether you're meeting a new colleague, sitting down for an interview, or closing a business deal. The ideal handshake is firm but not overpowering, with a comfortable grip and a natural amount of pressure. Too often, people overthink it and either go too soft or too aggressive. A weak, limp handshake, often called the dead fish, can make you seem uninterested or lacking confidence, while an overly strong grip, also known as the knuckle crusher, can feel like an attempt at dominance. If you've ever been on the receiving end of one of these, you know how awkward it can be. Finding that balance is key. It should feel natural and controlled, not forced or exaggerated. Handshakes also reveal a lot about power dynamics. A dominant handshake, where the palm is facing downward, can sometimes come across as an attempt to take control of the interaction. On the other hand, a submissive handshake, with the palm facing upward, might signal uncertainty or a willingness to defer. If you ever find yourself in a handshake where someone is clearly trying to establish dominance, a simple adjustment, turning your hands so both palms are vertical, can instantly create a more balanced exchange. Little tweaks like this can subtly shift the energy of a conversation. Then there's the glove handshake, where someone covers your hand with both of theirs. This is often meant to come across as warm and sincere, but in professional settings, it can feel a bit too personal. While it might be appropriate in certain cultures or situations, most of the time it's best to stick with a simple, straightforward handshake. You might like to pay attention to the handshakes you receive and see what kind of impression they leave on you. Chances are others are picking up on the same signals when they shake your hand. If you ever feel unsure about your handshake, the best way to improve is simply by practicing. A good handshake is all about reading the moment. Some people prefer a stronger grip, while others are more relaxed. What matters most is being present and engaged in the interaction. The next time you reach out to shake someone's hand, take a second to notice the exchange. It's a small gesture, but it can make a big difference in how you're perceived. Best practices for handshakes. A handshake may last only a few seconds, but it can leave a lasting impression. I've seen people underestimate how much a handshake can influence the way they're perceived, and yet it's often the first physical interaction we have in a professional setting. A good handshake isn't about impressing the other person with strength or technique. It's about creating a connection that feels natural and confident. When done right, it sets a positive tone for the conversation and establishes mutual respect. One of the most important things to keep in mind is grip. A handshake should be firm, but not overpowering. You don't want to squeeze so hard that the other person flinches, but at the same time, a weak grip can make you seem hesitant or disengaged. If you ever find yourself unsure, just aim for a handshake that matches the other person's pressure. This simple adjustment can make the exchange feel more balanced and comfortable for both parties. Eye contact and body language also play a big role in how your handshake is received. Looking someone in the eyes while shaking their hand instantly communicates confidence and attentiveness. A handshake paired with a genuine smile makes you seem approachable and friendly. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact or looking distracted can send the wrong message. You might like to think of a handshake as more than just a physical gesture. It's a full body expression of your presence and engagement in the moment. Timing is another key factor. A good handshake lasts about 2 to 3 seconds, long enough to establish connection, but not so long that it becomes uncomfortable. Holding on too long can feel awkward, while letting go too quickly can seem dismissive. The key is to be aware of when the other person is ready to release the handshake and match their timing naturally. If you ever find yourself in a situation where the handshake lingers too long, a simple, polite step back can help create a natural ending to the exchange. Finally, preparation makes a difference. If you know you'll be shaking hands, make sure your hand is dry and relaxed. A damp or overly tense hand can be distracting, so if you're prone to sweaty palms, a quick wipe on your pants before extending your hand can help. If someone else has a sweaty handshake, don't react visibly. Just carry on as if you didn't notice. Little things like this show professionalism and composure. Handshakes may be a small detail, but when done well, they can leave a strong, positive impression that lingers long after the moment has passed. Postures and stances, positive postures. Posture is one of those things that can completely change how people perceive you. And the best part is, it's something you can control. I've seen people walk into a room with slouched shoulders and a hesitant stance, and even before they say a word, they already seem unsure of themselves. On the other hand, someone who stands tall with an open, confident posture instantly commands attention and respect. The way you hold yourself doesn't just affect how others see you, it also influences how you feel about yourself. A strong, upright posture with your shoulders relaxed and back signals confidence and engagement. It makes you appear more present in conversations and gives off the impression that you're comfortable in your own skin. If you're standing, keeping your weight evenly distributed on both feet helps maintain balance and stability. You might like to avoid shifting from one foot to the other too often, as it can make you seem restless or uncertain. When sitting, keeping your back straight and shoulders relaxed rather than slumping forward makes a huge difference in how engaged and professional you appear. Leaning slightly forward when speaking with someone is a great way to show interest and attentiveness. It's a small adjustment, but signals that you're actively engaged in the conversation. However, there's a fine line. Leaning too far forward can seem intrusive, while leaning too far back might make you appear disinterested or disengaged. Finding that natural balance helps create a comfortable, open dynamic. Another subtle but effective posture trick is mirroring. If you're in a meeting or conversation, subtly mirroring the other person's posture can help build rapport and connection. It's not about copying their every move, but if they're sitting upright and engaged, doing the same can make the interaction feel more natural and comfortable. You might want to pay attention to how your posture shifts in different situations. Sometimes just a small adjustment can completely change the energy of a conversation. At the end of the day, posture is about more than just looking confident. It's about feeling confident. When you carry yourself with openness and stability, you naturally project authority, credibility, and warmth. The best part is, once you become aware of your posture, it becomes easier to make small shifts that have a big impact. Whether you're in a meeting, giving a presentation, or simply having a one-on-one conversation, the way you hold yourself sets the stage for how others will respond to you. Postures and stances, negative postures. Posture speaks before you do, and sometimes it can send the wrong message without you even realizing it. I've seen people with brilliant ideas struggle to get taken seriously simply because their body language didn't match their confidence. The way you carry yourself can unintentionally make you seem defensive, uncertain, or disengaged, even when that's not how you feel. Being aware of negative postures can help you catch these habits and adjust them before they affect the way people perceive you. Slouching is one of the most common posture mistakes, and it immediately makes someone look uninterested or insecure. Whether standing or sitting, a slouch posture signals low energy and a lack of confidence. If you've ever sat in a long meeting and started to sink into your chair without realizing it, you know how easy it is to slip into this habit. The problem is, it not only affects how others see you, but it also impacts how you feel. Slouching can make you feel more tired and unmotivated, while sitting up straight can actually boost your focus and confidence. Crossing your arms tightly over your chest is another posture that can create the wrong impression. While it might feel comfortable or even protective, it often comes across as defensive, closed off, or resistant to what's being said. I've noticed that in meetings, people who sit with crossed arms tend to look less approachable, even if they're just cold or deep in thought. If you catch yourself doing this, you might like to try resting your hands on the table or in your lap instead. It instantly makes you seem more open and engaged. Fidgeting, shifting from foot to foot, or playing with objects like pens or phone cases can make you seem nervous or distracted. Even small habits like tapping your fingers or bouncing your knee send subtle signals that you're restless or impatient. If you've ever been in a conversation where the other person kept looking around or shifting uncomfortably, you probably remember how disconnected it felt. Simply grounding yourself, planting both feet firmly on the floor, and keeping your movements intentional can make you seem more composed and focused. Even leaning too far back in a chair or standing with hands in pockets can create a sense of disengagement. While being too rigid can feel unnatural, the opposite, looking too relaxed, can come across as disinterest or even arrogance. The key is to find a balance between being comfortable and staying present in the moment. The good news is that posture is something you can adjust instantly. The next time you're in a conversation or meeting, take a quick moment to check in with how you're sitting or standing. Small changes can have a big impact on how you're perceived and how you feel. Facial expressions and their meanings. Your face often speaks before you do, and sometimes it tells a completely different story than the words coming out of your mouth. I've seen situations where someone was giving positive feedback, but their tight lips and furrowed brow made it seem like they were annoyed instead. Facial expressions are powerful because they reveal emotions instantly, and most of the time, they happen unconsciously. The good news is that once you start paying attention, you can become more aware of how your expressions influence the way people respond to you. A genuine smile, for example, can make a huge difference in how approachable and trustworthy you seem. But there's a difference between a real smile and a forced one. A natural smile engages the eyes, often called smiling with your eyes or the Duchenne smile, and creates warmth in your entire face. A fake smile, on the other hand, only moves the lips and can look stiff or insincere. If you've ever received a smile that didn't quite reach the other person's eyes, you probably felt the difference. Simply softening your expression and allowing the smile to develop naturally makes interactions feel more genuine. Eye contact is another major player in facial expressions. Looking someone in the eye while talking shows confidence and attentiveness, but too much direct staring can feel intense or intimidating. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact can make you seem unsure or even dishonest. You might like to find a natural rhythm, holding eye contact for a few seconds at a time and breaking it occasionally, so that it feels comfortable and engaging rather than forced. Raised eyebrows, pursed lips, and subtle frowns can send messages you might not even realize you're giving. Raised eyebrows can indicate surprise or curiosity, but when combined with a tight mouth, they can also signal doubt or skepticism. Pressed lips often indicate hesitation or disagreement, even if you're trying to stay neutral in a conversation. A furrowed brow, even when you're just concentrating, can sometimes make you look tense or frustrated. It helps to be aware of these small details so that your expressions align with what you actually want to communicate. The best way to refine your facial expressions is simply to observe how others react to you. If you notice people responding with confusion or hesitation, it might be worth checking in with yourself. Are your expressions matching your intent? A relaxed, open face naturally makes you seem more approachable, and small adjustments like softening your brow or keeping your mouth slightly relaxed can make a big difference. The more you practice awareness, the easier it becomes to use facial expressions to enhance your communication rather than unintentionally sending the wrong message. Eye movement and thought processes. Have you ever noticed how someone's eyes shift when they're thinking? It's one of those subtle, almost subconscious behaviors that can reveal what's going on in a person's mind. I've seen this play out in meetings, interviews, and casual conversations. Someone glances upward when recalling a memory, or they quickly dart their eyes to the side when they're unsure. Eye movement isn't a perfect science, but once you start paying attention, you'll notice patterns that can give you insight into how people process information in real time. Um, Looking upward is often linked to visual thinking. When someone looks up and to the left, they're usually trying to recall a real memory, something they've seen before. But when they look up and to the right, they might be constructing or imagining something new, which is why this movement is sometimes associated with fabrication or creativity. If you've ever asked someone a question and they looked up before answering, they were likely visualizing the information before putting it into words. It's a little trick that can help you gauge whether someone is pulling from experience or forming an idea on the spot. Sideways eye movements tend to relate to auditory processing. If someone looks directly to their left or right, they could be recalling or constructing a sound, maybe a voice, a song, or a piece of information they've heard before. I've noticed this a lot in conversations where people are trying to remember specific details from a discussion or speech. Their eyes naturally shift to the side as their brain sorts through what they heard. This can be useful to watch for in workplace settings, especially when people are recalling instructions or past conversations. Looking downward, on the other hand, is often linked to emotions and internal dialogue. If someone glances down and to the right, they're likely reflecting on a feeling or bodily sensation, which is common when processing emotions. Looking down and to the left usually means a person is engaging in internal self-talk, maybe rehearsing what they're about to say or analyzing their own thoughts. If you ever see someone break eye contact and look downward while speaking, they might be processing something personal or deeply considering their response. Understanding these small cues doesn't mean you should overanalyze every glance, but it can give you an extra layer of awareness in conversations. You might like to observe how people's eye movements change depending on what they're talking about. Uh, it's fascinating once you start noticing the patterns. More importantly, you can use this awareness to improve your own communicating to ensuring that your eye contact is natural, engaging, and in sync with the message you're trying to convey. Legs and feet positioning. Most people focus on hand gestures, facial expressions, and posture when reading body language. But legs and feet can be just as revealing. I've noticed that even when someone is trying to control their upper body language, their legs often give away what they're really thinking or feeling. Unlike the face and hands, which we tend to manage consciously, leg and foot movements are usually subconscious, making them a great indicator of someone's true emotional state. Once you start paying attention, you'll see how much people communicate without even realizing it. One of the biggest tells is the direction in which a person's feet are pointing. If someone is engaged and comfortable in a conversation, their feet will usually be pointed toward you. But if their feet are angled away, especially toward a door or exit, it can be a sign that they're ready to leave or are not fully invested in the discussion. I've seen this play out in networking events and meetings where someone might be smiling and nodding, but their feet are already pointing toward the next place they want to be. It's a subtle but powerful clue about their true level of interest. Crossed legs can have different meanings depending on the context. In a relaxed setting, crossing the legs can be a sign of comfort, but in a more formal or tense situation, it can indicate defensiveness or a need for self-protection. If someone suddenly crosses their legs tightly while speaking, they might be feeling uneasy or resistant to what's being discussed. On the other hand, loosely crossed legs with a relaxed posture suggests that the person is at ease. You might like to observe how leg positioning changes in conversations, especially when a topic shifts, to get a better sense of how someone is reacting emotionally. Restlessness in the legs or feet, such as bouncing a knee, tapping a foot, or constantly shifting positions, is often a sign of nervousness or impatience. I've seen people do this in meetings when they're anxious to speak or in situations where they feel uncomfortable but don't want to say anything directly. While some movement is normal, excessive fidgeting can be distracting and may signal that someone is struggling to stay present. If you catch yourself doing this, grounding both feet firmly on the floor and taking a deep breath can help you feel more stable and in control. Leg and foot positioning might not always be the first thing people notice, but it's one of the most honest forms of body language. Since we don't usually think about what our legs are doing, they often reveal what we're truly feeling in the moment. If you're ever unsure about how engaged someone is, a quick glance at their feet can tell you more than their words or facial expressions. And if you want to appear more confident and present in your own interactions, keeping your feet firmly planted and facing the person you're speaking with is a simple but effective way to show attentiveness and assurance. Mastering body language in interviews and meetings. The way you carry yourself in an interview or meeting can be just as important as what you say. I've seen people with great ideas struggle to make an impact simply because their body language didn't match their confidence. Whether you're meeting a potential employer, giving a presentation, or participating in a team discussion, your posture, gestures, and facial expressions all work together to influence how others perceive you. The good news is that with a little awareness and practice, you can use body language to reinforce your message and make a strong, lasting impression. One of the simplest yet most effective habits to develop is maintaining an open posture. Sitting or standing with your shoulders relaxed, your back straight, and your hands visible makes you appear confident and engaged. Crossing your arms, hunching over, or keeping your hands hidden can make you seem closed off or uncertain. If you're in a meeting, keeping your hands on the table or in a relaxed position on your lap shows that you're present and ready to participate. You might like to experiment with small adjustments in your posture to see how they change the way you feel and how others respond to you. Eye contact is another major factor in professional settings. Looking directly at the person speaking shows confidence and attentiveness, but too much eye contact can feel intense or intimidating. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact altogether can make you seem unsure or disengaged. A good approach is to maintain steady eye contact for a few seconds at a time, then briefly look away before re engaging. If you're in a group meeting, shifting your gaze naturally between speakers and key points of interest helps you appear engaged without staring anyone down. Hand gestures can also enhance or weaken your message. Using natural, controlled gestures while speaking can make you seem more dynamic and expressive, while excessive or erratic hand movements can be distracting. Keeping your gestures purposeful, such as using open palms to emphasize a point or a slight nod to show agreement, can make your communication feel more intentional. I've noticed that the best speakers use gestures that complement their words rather than overpower them. If you're unsure, keeping your hands relaxed and occasionally using them to support your words is a great place to start. Lastly, your presence in a room matters. Whether you're walking into an interview or joining a meeting, moving with confidence sets the tone before you even speak. Standing tall, making eye contact as you greet people, and offering a firm handshake create an immediate impression of competence and professionalism. If you tend to feel nervous, taking a few deep breaths and grounding yourself before stepping into the room can help steady your energy. The more you practice these small adjustments, the more natural they'll feel, making it easier to navigate professional settings with confidence and ease. The cultural aspect of body language. Body language isn't universal. What's considered friendly or professional in one culture might be seen as intrusive or disrespectful in another. I've seen misunderstandings happen simply because people weren't aware of these subtle differences, especially in international workplaces. If you've ever worked with colleagues from different backgrounds, you might have noticed that some people maintain strong eye contact while others avoid it, or that personal space varies depending on where someone is from. Understanding these differences can help you communicate more effectively and avoid unintended missteps. In the United States and most Western countries, eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and honesty. If someone avoids eye contact, it might be perceived as nervousness or even dishonesty. A firm handshake is also important. It's expected in professional settings and is often seen as a measure of credibility. Personal space is another key factor. People generally prefer about an arm's length of distance during conversations. Standing too close or touching someone beyond a handshake can feel intrusive. If you're working in a Western setting, maintaining eye contact, using open gestures, and respecting personal space can help build rapport and professionalism. In Japan and many East Asian cultures, body language tends to be more restrained. Direct eye contact, especially with authority figures, can be seen as disrespectful or confrontational. A slight bow is a common way of greeting rather than a handshake, though handshakes have become more common in business settings. Personal space is valued, and people generally avoid unnecessary physical contact. Even subtle gestures like excessive hand movements while speaking can be viewed as distracting. If you're interacting with colleagues from Japan, it helps to be mindful of keeping a respectful posture, minimizing overly expressive gestures, and understanding that silence in conversations is often a sign of thoughtfulness rather than discomfort. In the Middle East, physical touch and proximity are much more common, especially among people of the same gender. Men might greet each other with a handshake, followed by a light touch on the arm or even a hug, while greetings between men and women are more conservative, often avoiding physical contact unless initiated by the woman. Eye contact is considered a sign of sincerity, but it should be balanced. Too much can feel aggressive, while too little can seem untrustworthy. I've noticed that personal space is much smaller in these cultures, and standing close to someone while speaking is completely normal. If you're working in a Middle Eastern environment, being open to closer physical interactions and maintaining a warm yet professional demeanor can help build strong business relationships. In Latin America, expressiveness is a big part of communication. People tend to use animated hand gestures, and conversations are often full of physical touch, such as a pat on the back, a handshake that lasts longer, or even a hug between colleagues who know each other well. Personal space is smaller than in Western cultures, and standing close during conversations is normal. Avoiding physical contact or keeping too much distance might come across as cold or unfriendly. In professional settings, a relaxed but engaged posture, warm facial expressions, and responsive gestures help create a sense of connection. If you're in a Latin American business setting, being open to expressive communication and maintaining a friendly, personal approach can make interactions more effective. Every culture has its own unique approach to body language, and adapting to these differences shows respect and builds stronger connections. If you ever find yourself in an international workplace or traveling for business, observing how people interact and mirroring their comfort levels can help you navigate cultural differences smoothly. The more aware you are of these subtle variations, the more naturally you'll be able to adjust, making your communication more effective across different cultural settings. Conclusion: enhancing nonverbal communication. Body language is a powerful tool that shapes the way people perceive you, often before you even say a word. I've seen firsthand how small adjustments, like improving posture, using the right gestures, or maintaining appropriate eye contact, can completely change how confident and approachable someone appears. The key to mastering nonverbal communication isn't about overanalyzing every movement, but becoming more aware of how your body naturally expresses itself. Once you start paying attention, you'll find it easier to align your body language with your intentions and build stronger, more effective connections. Understanding personal space and cultural differences is just as important as refining your own posture and gestures. In some settings, standing close and using expressive hand movements create warmth and trust, while in others, too much proximity or movement might feel intrusive. You might like to take a moment to observe how people in different cultures and professional environments use space, touch, and eye contact. This small effort can help you avoid misunderstandings and make interactions feel more natural. In professional settings, especially interviews and meetings, a confident stance, balanced eye contact, and controlled hand gestures can make all the difference. A firm but natural handshake, good posture, and engaged facial expressions signal competence and attentiveness. Even subtle details like the direction your feet are pointing or whether you're fidgeting can influence the energy of an interaction. If you ever feel nervous, grounding yourself, keeping your feet steady, breathing deeply, and using open postures can help you appear and feel more in control. At the end of the day, nonverbal communication is about authenticity. It's not about forcing yourself to act a certain way, but learning how to present yourself in a way that naturally builds trust and engagement. Whether you're adjusting your body language to suit different cultural settings, improving your posture for more confidence, or simply becoming more mindful of how your expressions affect conversations, these small shifts can have a huge impact. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, helping you navigate both professional and personal interactions with ease and confidence.